with live. Hello, everyone. It's
Hi,
time
everyone.
for 40K today.
Today, Monday, the 15th of November. This is your weekly show here on the Art of War 40K YouTube channel, where we sit down and we discuss hobby things. Not necessarily all 40K, but we try and bring in a variety of
By the
topics,
way,
like a variety show.
speaking of 40K and bad decisions made, or good, excellent decisions made, I
Hmm.
randomly decided in the middle of the night over the weekend to buy a drinking horn and have it sent to my home.
Amazing. Are you going to fill it with fruit? Do like the Horn of Plenty? Or are you going to...
I'm going to fill it with wine.
Oh,
And
okay.
it will be the Horn of Plenty.
Can you travel with it?
I hope so. It comes with
Yeah?
this handy dandy like holding thing and a belt clip. My wife just goes, I
A
don't even,
belt clip?
yeah, so I
Amazing.
can hold it on my belt. So I was excited about this. I
That
was
is excellent.
fantastically happy about it. She was like, you buy the dumbest things ever. It's just like, I go, I don't know what you're talking about. This seems genius.
Unless you're gonna use it, which is always a good thing. Like when you buy something, even if it's really random, it's always better if you know you're gonna use it.
Oh, I'm going to walk up to people and just get drinks by pushing in my horn. No one says no to a guy with a drinking horn.
Fill up my horn, barkeep.
So good. There's so many things to be said about 40K today. We had weird skewed stats. We did it. We talked about them a little bit in Meta Monday because Warzone Atlanta counted everyone that didn't show up on day one as having 3 losses. So it did make this.
Really?
Yes, yeah, weird stats in BCP.
Why?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
So weird
Hmm.
things. It was weird things. I'm more psyched about this. By the way, I have to say, I went to Du Bois GT this weekend. Thank you to everybody Du Bois. I stayed at Sean Kemp's house. Thanks for having us. Mr. Alan Pajama Pants Bramovich told me he had a room for us, and that turned out to be a dirty lie, and I was a hobo in Rochester, New York. And we ended up crashing at his place, and it was fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Brian Horton, for running the event. It was magical. We had
It's
food.
one event I need to go to still. The Boys GT. It's
You
like a
are
classic, long-standing
disappointing me,
event.
Scary. The Canadians are well known to have invaded Du Bois over the years, and it is
Multiple
the
times.
closest thing that you could come to that's always there too for you. It is
Hmm.
directly south of you. You could be there. You could be
Well,
having
not
fun.
technically directly south. It's more like to the
It's
east,
east. It's a little
southeast.
bit over. Yeah, whatever. You still have to go south.
Probably further north than Toronto once you go into go up that way.
Whatever. Just take your helicopter, take the Scary copter, and
The
just
Scar.
zoom over
I'm
there.
getting onto my Venom right now because my Raider went up too many points, so now I have to use a Venom.
uh, I have stuff.
So
We had a good
that's
time in
something
that.
that happened. Yeah, it was good. And there was actually, in terms of events, there was another event in California. Was it a Frontline Gaming Run event that ran the FAQ that came out on like the
There was
Tuesday,
multiple events that ran
and they decided to
parts.
like, yeah,
Yeah, we
and they
had
were
a
like,
couple that
you
didn't
change
run.
your list.
Yeah, we had some that changed their list, but then we had a couple people that used the rules and not the points. So they
Hmm.
used
Hmm.
Necron Core and they used
Hmm.
Obsec Knights 5, 5 and 10 counting
Hmm.
as models,
Hmm.
and it was kind of cool. I mean, I gonna lie, I'm really looking forward to because the meta, even though we had skewed results from Warzone Atlanta because they had a weird thing they put in, the meta was very evened out. Like we had lots of 50% ish win rates as opposed to skews, and we had lots more things. We had more Marines than we've had in forever too. Um,
Well, Marines are always going to be
yep,
popular, but
100%. But
you know,
I think they're going to be
yeah.
making even more of a comeback though because you take down their natural predators, and you're going to have more stuff pop again. So I think you're gonna have
I think
more
that
lists.
goes with a lot of things. Right now, AdMech, well, and we did a whole, Art of War did a whole like tier list. Go watch that if you haven't already. Kind of like taking all these changes into account. We also did, you did Meta Monday on the in the War Room, and so we discussed all that sort of stuff. Now there have been a couple of like this weekend. I went to a team event. It was the second largest team event in Canada so far, with 16 5-person teams, which is actually quite good for a Canadian team tournament. And we didn't run with the new rules, and you can definitely tell there was this aura of I can't wait for these new rules to get put into effect.
Yeah,
So
there is a big thing on that. Well, that's a lot of people are asking the thing. How we
yeah,
feel about the we had a Tyranid list that ran 18 Hive Guard, went 5-0 over the weekend, and I don't think that's probably going to be the final form of Hive Guard, but I understand how it's the feel bad list because, and a couple of guys are right, it does feel meh when you get shot with indirect, and it always has because you don't feel that you have tools to deal with as many tools. There are some tools.
no,
Obviously, they have
yeah,
redeploys and stuff like that. But anytime anybody shoots you indirect, it always felt. That's the reason why we had problems with, rocket trucks and planes and everything else.
yeah.
Anytime it feels that you can't use your skills to stop someone from getting line of sight, maneuvering, using your superior play
It's
to
at
do,
that point, it's like, can I make saves?
right,
And will my opponent roll above average or below average, and will I
100%.
survive?
I
And
don't
it
like.
has
I'm
not.
not gonna lie. Maybe unpopular opinion. I don't really like indirect at all. I actually think that if I would do two things, I would have done two players. See, I only want two players on the board right now.
Just
Okay,
two,
just two.
not three, just two.
But I might have done two planes, and I don't know if I would. I might limit indirect sources. You know what I mean? I don't.
Well, they had this trend of like, in late 8th edition, indirect fire, and this is like a whole topic for an indirect fire like clinic that we could do. But like indirect fire had a huge rise in like with the ITC lower line, like lower floor blocks line of sight in like late 8th edition, with the magic boxes where you couldn't shoot them, right?
Right.
Unless you had
You
some
almost
form of
needed it at
indirect.
that point in time. Yeah, I agree on
Correct.
that.
And now it's kind of changed to where indirect slash planes became the best way to just go around corners and shoot people
which
because
which is
you can't
almost
reply.
indirect because you're also
Correct.
measuring line of sight from wings. It'd be different if you were doing it from the
Yeah.
base, but since it's anywhere on the model, you can
Yeah.
literally go, "Hey, 8 inches out here on this wing, this piece of my plane
Hmm.
now can see in this what you were trying to hide." I actually agree on the one with Caleb says the indirect needs a -1 to hit if you're out of line of sight for a target. That has been in actual multiple versions of 40K at some point in time in different rules.
Well, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like now you get the same sort of effect if there's a piece of dense terrain in the middle of the table, right? Where if you're shooting over it with indirect, it's still, you suffer that -1 to hit. But it's like doesn't come up very often, and few events put a bunch of forests in the middle of the board unless you're the WTC. But that would be not necessarily a very elegant solution, but a solution that would then disincentivize taking it because then its efficiency goes down.
Yeah, the thing is that there's a lot of things that having out of line of sight shooting makes things easy. It
Hmm.
does. I mean, it causes its own problems, and that's why eventually maybe they will restrict that. You know what I mean? I actually thought, and a lot of people didn't like it. I argued this over the weekend. I actually liked. I would have preferred, like for instance, that the flyer mechanic got changed, but
Hmm.
I don't mind the solution at all of two. You know what I mean? If you've got a unit you can't figure out how to fix it,
Yeah.
limit the amount of them you can take.
Then it's like a risk reward because if you have two planes, you're spending 400 points on two planes unless you're an orc player, and then you're spending, less than 300 points on a plane on two planes. But, if your opponent goes first and have some decent long range firepower, you can be finding yourself 300 to 400 points down before the first turn. But if you go first, it gives you a chance to kind of put pressure on and dictate the pace of the game by maybe killing a key target, or getting a positional advantage or bringing pressure on like a key unit that your opponent has. So I can see how like it is, and don't get me wrong, it is abusive and oppressive to have like 4 to 6 planes. Like it's very hard as an opponent to not go first and then just get wiped off the board. Because you just can't hide. If you could hide, or if there was a way to sort of like if you had blips everywhere, but like the pushed, 18 inches up, then you couldn't get shot by the wings, like drawing line of sight around buildings, essentially. But I like it. It's a good stopgap, right? And at the same time, they could always, change the attachments eventually, or do like, you know, change the way that mechanic works. Like you have to strategically reserve your planes so they don't start on the table. There's lots of ways they could kind of go about it, I guess. But 2,000 points, I'm okay with that.
I can see. I mean, I actually I like the two. The two more than the thing because
Mm-hmm.
here's my reason that I like the two, because I do think that three would have been too much. A couple people put in the three, Corey over here, for instance, because the move blocking is the problem. Two, you can't effectively move block. You can move block, but you can't like effectively move block everything. With three
Mm-hmm.
planes, especially with the way the boards are right now, depending also if what you're playing, I can just move
Mm-hmm.
block your army. If you're playing, for instance, I played Terminus S, and it felt very difficult. There's tons of difficult models, but if you have three planes, you can literally just block their entire movement space.
Well, let's make Knight's Obsec now. Oh, and the planes can still stop you from going anywhere.
Yeah, so
So,
it's still a thing
yeah.
on that. Um,
Mhm.
I'm agreed. What do you guys? What's everybody's thoughts on? I'd like to say on indirect, because I think that indirect is one of the feel bads. I don't know if it's the strongest mechanic, but it's a feel bad mechanic because it feels like you're taking out of the equation. I understand that. Like right now, for instance, Scary and I played at Studs and Stylings, and it felt like a game where it was so both of us were laying in wait trying to make different moves, and if
Mhm.
both of us
Mhm.
were shooting a ton of indirect with each other, I think a lot of the the
It's like that
ten
move, like your
the
Raider filled with Blood Brides right in the middle of the board. If I had indirect, you couldn't have set that up in that way in the
right.
stages that you would have had to commit pretty much your whole army in one go and hoped
Yeah,
that
but
I
the
didn't
whole
kill
thing is
enough.
that game again between us,
Yeah.
it became that tension of violence. You know what I mean? Where each was looking
Mhm.
for that
Mhm.
opportunity, and I do think that indirect takes that away though,
Mhm.
because that game was set up on each of us trying to get. You can't see me, and I want to be X amount of far, and somebody has to commit, on either side, and I do think it's indirect does make it so you don't have to do those kind of things. You can just go, okay, well, I'm just going to sit and bomb you, and that doesn't feel. I don't know. To me, that I guess that's my style though. That I prefer to have engagements all over the place and be moving and doing things. I'd rather play the armies that get up close and do close firefights and melee and everything else. That I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just maybe that's me. Maybe people just enjoy just rolling a lot of dice and murdering people, but I just I feel that it gives me more. I'm also kind of, as I said before, even though I'm a power gaming fool, I'm also a fluff bunny, and 40k fluff is always things happening. So let's see what
Yeah,
everyone
they
has to say.
just sitting behind a wall and shooting. That's not very 40k. It's just that's just a mechanic. Caleb says that he feels bodyguard is way worse. I feel like there's
In
ways to
bodyguard,
abuse bodyguard,
I think I'm not gonna
but
lie.
there are also ways to stop it from working. So it's not as
Yeah, but
terrible.
I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind seeing bodyguard go away and or it being changed, where maybe if
Hmm.
if you decide to face tank with a character and he's bodyguarded, maybe the bodyguard unit takes the damage.
Like the old bodyguard rules.
Yeah,
Like yeah. Hmm.
where you dumped it off. I would
Yeah.
be kind of okay with that. I do. It is frustrating sometimes to just go, I can't shoot something, and that's silly. You're right in front of me, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I get it with the artillery place. I don't know. I don't think it's the strongest thing in the universe, but I do feel it's the feels bad Zeus. How about that? It gives
Yeah.
you it
And,
sometimes gives
and
you that.
slowly but surely, like Games Workshop has said that this data slate update is going to be quarterly. So, hey, we'll see what happens in, 4 months or
Yeah.
whatever, or 3 months. You know what I mean? So if they do something like this every 3 months and they sort of adjust a few things that are toxic in the game, then I could see like I'm not going to pass judgment on this until they've done it a few times. if that makes sense. Because they could say they're going to do it and then change what they do like 6 months from now. So we'll see. Um, anyway, other than that, maybe it's time to put more forests on tables. Make sure that there's
But you
more
know what?
terrain.
I am going to go on a Brad rant about that because I think that we've been only using just flat ruins and stuff for too long. And
Hmm.
I actually think we should give more things obscuring. I
Yep.
th- and I think that we should be using more things like barricades. I actually at Michigan GT they gave hills obscuring, and I
Hmm.
loved playing with obscuring hills because you had to actually utilize the distance. You know what I mean? You have to measure up and over and everything like that, and it
Yep.
blocked, so it made the hill that nobody bothers with anymore because of the fact that it usually doesn't do anything. It
Yep.
blocked and made stuff. I enjoyed it a lot, and I love
Hmm.
having things like Forest utilizing that, getting that lines between -1 is actually really nice. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
You know how in Cities of Death there's like Cities of the campaign supplement. Okay, I'm going way over here, but there was you could upgrade objectives that were inside buildings to have like a special rule. So like you could upgrade one to have like a Medicare facility that would get everybody in that building a 6 up feel no pain, and then you could have another one that was an ammo cache that gave everybody in that building a real ones to hit. What about if there was some sort of mechanic at a tournament where you'd go, okay, these are the set rules for the terrain, and every player gets one or two keywords for terrain that they could pick a piece of terrain to add a keyword to.
I mean, I love I'm not gonna lie, I love complexity additions all the time because I think it adds uniqueness and things to the game uh, for me. Because I like to have more things going on in anything. I would like to see more of everything in thing because I right now bring back templates. I love templates, but I think templates were easy.
Templates templates were great until you brought out a scatter dice, and then you spent like 5 minutes being like,
Which
"It's
way
that
did it
way.
go?
No, it's that way. No, it's this way. No, my angle is this." Nah, yeah, man.
That was always the argument. No, I think it's this way. No, 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 no. It's this way. You're like, it's clearly not. Also, why did you roll your scatter dice 6 feet
Like
from the
six
unit?
feet right in the corner over there. No.
Please don't bring back templates.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I actually don't mind not having templates. Except for the giant apocalyptic flamer template. That thing was amazing.
Oh, dude, it's always the best to go. How many? What did you get under there? Looks like a 63. So
D-cannon template. That's what the Transcendent Satan used to have. A template that was 18 inches long or 16 inches long, and it was a D weapon.
that's not. Well, what did else had that? Well,
Uh,
the one Eldar tank had the Sonic Lance.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
and he could actually shoot out and then put the template down.
And then go put it backwards or
Yeah,
whatever.
so you
Yeah.
could shoot around corners. You're like, "Whew." How do you feel about
So good.
laser pointers for line of sight? I'll give my opinion, I'll let Scary do it. I am so epically lazy, and I'm a broken old man, and I'm 3 feet tall. So you can always probably get me on line of sight because I make my opponents lean down, and then I ask them if they can see it. And most of the time, I'm just going for intent. So if I'm playing Scary right now and I don't want to be seen, I'll just ask him how far I have to move my model. And I will also, you can pre-measure everything, guys. So like
Yeah.
literally, if I go, I don't want to be, I did this we did in our game, both of us did. Your venom goes this far. I don't want to be shot by him. Where do I have to stand to not be shot by this model?
Yeah.
Here? Is
Yeah.
that okay? Cool. And say it in your turn before they're ever moving, and just measure their model. You know how far
Mhm.
they go. Just measure it. That way,
Yep.
there isn't a question anymore that somebody's arms hanging out, and you don't have to bring out the laser pointer kind of thing.
Hmm.
Because I'd rather just explain to somebody what I'm trying to do, and then just have them agree with me that it either can, and sometimes it can't happen. You know what I mean? If somebody's like, I want to hide 27 guys behind this tiny little wall, no, we can't. You know what I mean? Just agree
Yep.
to it before then, so you don't have to get down and start doing stuff. Just talk about your moves before then. So
Yep.
easy
Makes
peasy.
sense. Yeah, a lot of the times,
Go
like
on.
it's a tool just like anything else. So sometimes if your opponent wants to use a laser pointer, then they can use a laser pointer. You know what I mean? Like whatever. It's
I will talk about this
yeah.
because of the comment. Can we talk about how I fed Brad a banana at the end of Du Bois GT? So Du Bois GT has a fantastic. They have a raffle, and they have a huge table of different things you can pick, and you pick them as you get. People get raffles, so a lot of the better stuff gets picked first. And one of the last things they have every year, I don't remember how it started, was they have a banana on the table. And I go, be a man and choose the banana. And he's like, only if I can feed it to you. So I got down on my knees and took the banana and took a giant, deep, awkward bite of the banana. So worth it.
Amazing. Well, let's pivot from the bananas and take a curveball and talk about a couple of new releases. So Games Workshop put out a couple of new releases. They had some cool Titanicus models release. Cool Titanic Legion, like Reavers, the new. Anyway, they look awesome. That what is it called?
Are we not going to
The
talk about
War
the sun? Are we
Master.
not going to talk about the Sons of Horus model? You know what? We
Oh, of
we
course,
are
that was one of them.
we are
I
going to
was
talk
gonna
about the
get there.
Sons.
I was gonna get there.
Oh,
I'm just doing like a
I'm
rapid fire
I
segment
might
here.
happen to have that model up on my screen right now.
Oh, let's talk about that model then, because that model is sexy as hell. This son of Horus, clearly Daddy's favorite. He was given the best armor, is the caption. By the way, that model looks great. Like, just a cataphracty Terminator
I love the
armor.
banner, dude. I love the banner off him too. It's pretty boss mode. I'm not gonna lie.
They look so like with the little leather strap things with the whole Roman theme style. Ah, man, it's just so cool.
It's
They look awesome. And that mace, like imagine getting hit by that mace.
no.
It's one massive mace.
All of the no, but
And it's a combi melter or legit just a melta gun. Is he just taught in a melta gun?
yeah,
I don't think that's a combi. Is it a combi melta?
he's just
That's
rolling around
probably
with the beats, bro. He doesn't play that.
so
He's
cool.
not trying to hear that. See,
Cosmic says mine. Yeah, yeah. That Horus. I will say something. Horus Heresy has some of the coolest models ever made. There was this guy at the tournament this weekend that ran an Astromech Charm list, and all his guardsmen were Solar or Exilia, and I was like, those are really cool looking.
do you want to check out some of the armies on parade? I would like to.
Some of the yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. 2021 this weekend. So Armies on Parade. If we go down the line, we had winner of theme. Who was it? These were the best painted models on custom boards.
Stefano, Speed Freaks.
Oh, that's a cool looking board. I like it when he did like the whole backdrop with like the little plane flying and stuff. He's got like it's like a highway.
Well, it's like the
I
Roadrunner
like
thing,
that.
is it not?
Yeah, looks cool.
They had some boss mode stuff. I mean, look at this bad boy. Woo!
That's amazing.
That's good work. That is good work.
That is scary.
I mean,
You seen that Night Haunt model? Is that the one you're showing?
yeah.
With all the teeth or whatever? Imagine painting each individual little tooth from that
Well,
giant face.
look at this, dude. The Halfling team was boss mode. I mean, the Night Haunts were sweet. I can barely see these colors, but I still think it was sweet.
Yeah, I love it. It's like a little picnic basket too. So funny. But I will say something. Out of all of the themes in just Warhammer in general, Blood Bowl has some of the coolest
Oh, I love that game.
community in the entire like universe of all Warhammers combined.
I
Like Blood Bowl, people who play Blood Bowl seriously are hilarious, and their their teams are incredible. So much character in that game.
we have not talked about Black Templars winning Du Bois, beating me by 1 point, right next to me.
Slacker.
Man, I just damn you, rods, damn you and your sticky deliciousness that always lures me in.
Yeah, if you're gonna go for if there's an undefeated player, there's enough for two undefeateds at the end. If you go for rods, you're pushing it because you need those hundreds. Uh, set
Oh,
you drop 3 points a game, it's gonna happen.
I did not. I actually averaged 98. I didn't take it every time because I had good stuff. Matt, thank you. Brad, you were awesome to hang out with the boys. Hope to see you again another event. Uh, Thank you for the congrats. I had a great time. I always have a great time with the boys. You guys were great to hang out with. Literally, that tournament is one of my favorites. I was going to it no matter what on that. It's just it's it's a good group of people, and that's literally what I look for in any tournament. Let's be honest.
Hmm.
The best
Hmm.
part about the tournament isn't the tournament. The best part of the tournament is the after and the mid and hanging out with everybody and having too many drinks, eating too much food, and talking nonsense. That is the best part is just
I
doing.
missed that so much, and especially going to a team event for the first time, like
What did you guys
just
do?
hanging out.
You didn't tell
Uh,
us about it. We want to hear about this.
the
What?
team event?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was the Beer and Pretzels Open, which was a team event this year. So it was 16 teams of five. I went with the Stud or Scrub team from the Stud or Scrub podcast. So we had it was 5 rounds over 2 days. Congratulations to Canhammer who ended up top spot. We lost to them in the fourth round, and then that was the only game we dropped. Then we did come in third, although the people we beat came in second. So I don't think they used strength of schedule. But congratulations to everybody. There's a lot of Team Canada players in the top teams, and it was really fun. I love team events. And we went after Saturday. Like one of the things I love about going to an event in general is the eating food and hanging out after. Like you go to the meal. Like on the Saturday night, we all went and we just like went to this bottomless sushi place and like cleared them
Yeah.
out. It was amazing. It was so fun. We just sat there and laughed and chatted. And then Jason Sparks, literally ended up the night with a plate with a mountain of raw salmon. He was just like, ah. It was so, oh
Oh
man,
man,
I've never seen someone eat so much raw fish in my life.
I love everything about that.
It was great.
See,
It was good.
that's the
Good,
key.
good weekend.
We
Yeah.
had that. We were just talking about stuff. I just love going out like that. We had so much. One of the best days was literally the first day. So
Hmm.
we go there, we get in on Friday, and we just sit down and they're finishing. I don't even know what they're finishing. The team event and some of the AOS stuff was going on. So we just sit down and Horton brings out some scotch, and then one of the guys goes to the liquor store, and then we just start. Everybody's talking nonsense about the game and tournaments before and other random stuff, and it was just fantastic. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I go for. I just love that, man. And if you're not doing that, you need to start. That's a reason to go to tournaments. Whether you go undefeated or don't win a single game, you can have an amazing time and just hanging out with everybody, talking crap.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
it's great,
So cool. I love it.
especially the
I
team. What
can't
did, what
I
did you
can't wait to do more.
what
So,
did you guys do? What did you guys bring in the team event? That's what I need to know.
so I brought my Drukari, the updated list from after the start of Snotling. I kind of tweaked the list a little bit to take some more Talos and more racks, basically. And it listed really well. I dropped one game into Grey Knights on the first round because it just when it got away from me. So I ended up getting only I think 4 or 6 points in that game on a differential, which is a 20-0 differential. Then we took a Dark Angels list. We took the traditional like bunch of Terminators and whatnot, which was okay, but it wasn't as good a defender as we thought. We did have our Grey Knights, which were incredible. We took Tyranid / Genesteal Cult, which was like probably one of the best performing lists that we had all weekend. And then we took Orcs, which
What was your guys's version of the Tyranids? I'm curious now about this.
uh it's a barbed Hydra, so the one with the big guns. It was a big unit Hive Guard, old Leviathan, big unit Devil Gaunts, so Lictor, couple of other little units of Termagants, and then some bunch of Genies to the Cult. So bunch of Neophytes or Acolytes. Neophytes with mining lasers inside of Goliaths with reroll hits.
Oh, really?
It's like a
You guys went heavy
custom.
into the GSC then.
Oh, the GSC is fantastic. It works so well in certain matchups because those blips mess up people's plans big time. Yeah, they stop planes from getting close. They stop like ultramarine dreadnoughts from scouting up in your face. Like it's a very good list to have to just bully people. And then we had the orc list: freebooters, buggies, and planes, which it did what it did, which was go in and even though our orc player went second every time, and he only lost one game, which was
Nice.
against Admech,
Well,
which then the Admech like outgunned his guns. That was
it
it. But it was all
happens.
around. We played five of the five top teams of that event. Like every single one of the teams we played were like in contention to do well at that event. So we had no easy matchups, which was the best part. Yeah, that was really good.
Love it. Did you, by any chance? I haven't seen how. I do want to. I have a couple things on Warhammer Plus that I want to watch. Speaking of New
Mm-hmm.
Angels of Death, I was
Mm-hmm.
just saying. Corey was saying that it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So good.
I'll definitely
I'm
get this.
loving the series.
I just want more. We talked about this last week. I just want Warhammer
Yep.
Plus to be more plus. That's really just what I want. I do think that the balance. What did everybody think about the balance? Because I think that the balance was enough for now, especially with the every 3 months in the pocket. You know what I'm saying? So we'll always have stuff because like I know that the results were a little skewed over the weekend because some people were using, some people weren't. We had
Yep.
weird results from
I think
Warzone.
we'll see an impact right away. I
Right.
think the impact we're going to see it next weekend, like because A, there's going to be pushback on events and tournaments to use it, and B, like the most oppressive lists got like hit really hard. However, I do you want to know my prediction, Brad? Orcs don't change a one bit. That's my prediction. They don't have planes, but they can still have
They still
all
have
of the buggies
Laws
all
Moonblast.
the buggies
And
are
they
up.
also got
They're
a
so
we got
good.
all the Speed Freak stuff. They also got the obstacle bikes. I think that army actually is fantastic.
It's so good. Advancing and shooting and invul saves on everything and like it's just gonna be so good. Anyway, I don't think orcs really got hit. I think it was like a you know what? Use other buggies, but all of their buggies are fantastic. You just don't get to have multiple units of buggies. You just have okay, what you have to deal with one unit. So it's not as terrible, but it's still really good. And then an army like Grey Knights, Brad, didn't get touched. Those Dread Knights are mean. They are mean, and Grey
I'm
Knights
I
have
took
some of the best secondary choices in the game.
oh yeah. I mean, I did get a total of 100% of the secondary points for Purifying Flame.
Oh no. I'll tell you this what happened, okay? I played Great Knights twice, and they took Purifying Ritual every time, okay? In one game, my opponent only got 1 point 3 times because they failed so many, and it didn't matter. They still got 15.
Because you
It
can
did
get
not matter at
6 in a
all.
turn. So yes.
No, it's so silly.
Uh,
Anyway.
I actually like this Necrons. Necrons in the balance patch, yes, they still are expensive. However, you can do certain stuff. A lot of the Necron guys have been talking about the fact that you can of course use the strat. Just get guys out literally right on top. You can take destroyers now and put them in the size. And then just I mean the scythe has a 20-man capacity. And then you can use the strat to put somebody right up on top of you and just auto make a charge. That's scary, man. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know the secret sauce yet. I have not even been working really on Necron this, but from talking to
I
people,
get him to play tonight against John the Cron, who is
nice.
a diehard like Necron player,
I mean, just
and
having access,
he's excited.
dude, having access to the transports is one huge because then it obviously it gives you the ability to just auto make a charge out of a transport with the strat from it because you just beam them down. But also having things like my will be done, just +1 to hit, huge. Other
Veil of Darkness, Techno Monsters.
Technomasters, a Ceres literally
Yeah,
rezzing two guys because they're now core a
yep,
turn, so you can get back
yep.
80 plus points a turn now with a model like Xeris. I think there's a lot to be said. I think there's a
Locust
lot.
Heavy Destroyers, one shot, but now with My Will Be Done, being able to hit on twos, rolling ones, and then rerolling ones to wound with like their strength 10, the 3d3 damage gun to like kill tanks or
Yeah.
whatever. It's like there's some good stuff they can do.
And all the stuff, guys, you got to remember, they literally just took the points that they're the point sheet that's going to be adjusted for everyone. They just put the Dark Eldar and
Yeah,
AdMech points out
because they were
early.
the most oppressive
Right.
ones.
So
Yeah.
there will be points across the board. It's just that they didn't give they put these out early to basically help the meta out.
Yeah.
And the thing is
I
like
agree.
I do want to adjust this real quick. Donald's like, I feel that you need a level of confidence your skill to play 40K at tournaments. I feel that I'm not good enough to play at tournaments. You're always good enough to play at tournaments. The only thing that you should have when you go into a tournament is a knowledge of your army so you can
Hmm.
play it in a nice, timely manner so you get to play all of your turns. So, and I think that that's achieved a lot of times by playing, obviously, practice games, but also bring things that you need to help you with your game. Call your stratagem cards. I tell people to make a cheat sheet of your phases. Put the stuff that you have to do. I did this for Eloise, Mr. Brandon Valley's wife. Hello, Eloise. But we were talking about her, and I did this with lots of coaching clients too. But specifically, when I started, she was just started playing this year, and I'm very nervous about what I want to do. She started doing the tournaments, and what should I do? And I go, you have to make yourself a sheet of what happens in the command phase for you, your army. You know what I mean? What do I have to do? What should I have to do in the move phase? You know what I mean? Things that and if you want to attach like a note next to them of stratagems that you usually use in the move phase or the shooting phase and stuff like that. You know what's really good about that? You can actually go to Wahapedia. Wahapedia has lists of your faction and it lists stratagems per phase. And I think that's a great way to look at stratagems, especially when you're new to the game. Look at them and when
Or to
you're
a unit specifically. Like you
yeah,
click on a unit and it'll actually say
yeah,
any relevant
yeah,
stratagems that you can use
100%.
on this unit. Yeah.
Exactly. And go through those and it's very, very nice. Just do a little homework on it. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you right now, it when I started out, I was getting my head kicked in just like everybody else gets their head kicked in when you first start out because you don't have a level of experience. But I brought a lot of early stuff, you know what I mean? I put cards ever. I'm a psycho for just little cards and different stuff on them. uh it's fantastic, you know what I mean? Just and it'll help you out so much. Like any of the small stuff is just such a big deal. And I'm not gonna lie, I still look at that stuff now, trying to stay updated on armies. I look through stratagems per phase all the time in different armies, just even right now, because it's always helpful. The game changes all the time, guys. There's new codexes, there's new supplements. It's hard to keep
It's
track of
simple.
everything.
It's hard to keep track of absolutely everything. Corey has a good note there. Get 300 reps in with an army. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You one of the best ways to get good is just play lots of games with your army so you don't forget interactions or auras or stratagems that you want to use. Even myself at the level that I play, when I was starting my new list, I would forget the Poisoner's Ampule all the time, and I would forget the Grenade, and I still forget to Vect all the time
You mean in
because
studs and slalom when I didn't use Vec for all 5 games?
yeah,
The best part is you and
yeah.
I played, you vected something, and I still didn't vect anything. What an
That was the
idiot.
only time I remembered. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna Vect that.
Yeah. The
And
best
then
part
even
is
at this
I said
tournament,
that.
I Vected one game.
Yeah.
I forgot every
You
other
said
time.
you kept forgetting to vect and then vected something for me, and I'm like, I definitely have to do that. I don't want to be that guy. And then we got to the end of the game, and I went, oh, God damn it. I didn't vect anything. I go, literally, you just said I forgot to vect and did vect. And then I said I will definitely vect, and I didn't vect at all.
But it
Ah.
happens to the best of us, just saying.
Everybody makes it.
So
I challenge anybody to go through
yeah,
5 games and not mess something up. I'm telling you
yeah,
right now, everybody does. Doesn't matter how
agreed.
much you do. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. That's why you need
Yeah.
help. I really think that I bring my stuff with me all the time. You'll see me consistently check my phone during games and stuff like that because I literally have Wikipedia up for one. I also have notes to myself about things that I'm not supposed to forget and everything else. I'm looking at
Yeah.
stratagems. I'm looking at different things. I checklist myself for my phases all the time. Before every tournament, I
It,
literally make a small note to myself of command phase, move phase, shooting phase, assault phase, things to like my little things to remember every time.
They what is it in Age of Sigmar? This is something I wish somebody did for 40K. There is an app of or a website where you can put in your army list and it will literally spit out every action you need to take in order in every phase.
I want that, dude.
It's very useful for your hero phase when you're like, what spells do I have and what abilities does my unit have and stuff, and you just have to put it in a
See,
website and it's all done.
I'm going to go to this. I'm going to answer this also. I goes,
Yeah.
Brad, you jump armies. You're able to find success because you're a stud, or is sweeping armies easier than people might think? It depends. Yes, of course I'm a stud, but also no. But the thing is that a lot of times I swap armies that are very, very similar,
Mhm.
and they're armies that I've been playing against a lot of times, so I already have reps with them. But I also
Mhm.
spend a lot of time, and I read a lot, so I'm able to do that because I also have more time to look into 40K things than a lot of other people have. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I also am a person that wants to play a lot of reps, but I have more time for 40K than a lot of people do. So I used to not swap armies as much before. Before I
Mhm.
didn't have as much time when I was traveling a lot for work. Um,
Yeah.
I I just didn't swap armies because I'd want to play the same thing for at least 6 months at a time. Uh,
You get used to it and stuff.
yep. So
Another thing is someone like Brad who plays a lot gets good at the mechanics of the game. So then what you have to do is like learn how to use the game mechanics, but in a different sort of like form. So it doesn't really like you learn like little tricks and things like that, but you're really kind of keeping on broad meta mechanics like move blocking, right? That's a skill that you learn, or how to use pile-ins and consolidates to your advantage, right? Those are little skill sets that then are transferable skills to any army you play
right,
in a lot of cases, not just one army that you play over and over. So the army in the army concept can change, but Brad knowing what good target priority is going to help him whether he's playing Drukhari or whether he's playing Grey Knights. You know what I mean?
hugely.
So yeah.
So much, and it makes a big, big difference to know the fact that I know the mechanics, like Scary was saying, make it so I'm available. I have to master the other phase. I would never jump armies until I felt that I was supremely confident with all phases of the game. I would never change armies until then. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Maybe if I
Hmm.
loved something new coming out or whatever, I still could, but you have to be very comfortable to be able to jump back and forth between armies. But actually, once you start jumping a little bit from armies, it helps your actual game kind of a lot because once you understand what your opponents can do, it actually helps your game hugely. And I actually recommend when you're doing test games sometimes play the other army, against your friends and be the person that plays the different armies when you're testing into things because you'll get a
Hmm.
better head for what your opponent can do, so it helps your armies a lot, man.
Oh
So,
yeah, 100%.
but what I would like, and a couple people were talking about this and what you were saying on this because you said it was different, I would love for a Waha version, PDF version of that to be GW's app again, where
It all they need to do is get that and put it on a GW branded one. Like it would, you know what I mean? They don't have to go far to do that exact thing. And all that stuff is fan made anyway, so
yeah. I
it's
mean, it's
yeah.
just fantastic because if I go, here's my list, and you can go, oh, here's every stratagem they can use. This is
Mhm.
every stratagem this unit can use. It's so nice.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. Right now, Wahapedia is the site that I use the most.
Mhm.
Out of things, I build armies on Battlescribe, and I use Wahapedia. I don't think I'm advertising for them because I don't I don't they don't sponsor anybody, so it doesn't really matter. But
Nope.
man, if you're one of the people that makes those things, thank you because I use them all the time.
It's like a compilation of information. And it's
Just knowing more. There's so many things in 40K that it's a very complex game. There's lots of things happening. There's lots of rule sets. There's lots of interactions, and having that information at my fingertips helps a lot. I
yep.
mean, I look things up all the time, especially when you do change armies a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't remember the exact wording of this or the range of this. You know what I mean? Or anything else. Um, yeah. Oh, dude, for sure, man. I love that. Ask your opponent about what they can use. That's why I actually think it's such a big deal. Right now, if I'm playing Scary right now, it would be so helpful for me to just be able to give my army to him and he gives my army to me and we can look
And
at
then just yeah.
each, yeah, we can look over the army and just
Because
go,
not
oh,
everybody knows what questions to ask. You know
right.
what I mean? And that's, you know, when for example, when we're coaching clients, you know, a lot of the times one of the things that we go through at some point with coachees is what questions to ask before a game. Especially depending on like your skill level. And and knowing like it's easy to get overwhelmed by the amount of questions you want to ask, right? So you sort of have to like narrow it down to a few sort of like red flag questions that then can branch off into other questions depending on, you know, based on something that gotcha'd you in a previous game. That's a great place to start. Like if you were playing a game and your opponent, you know, like Cosmic says, you deep strike something and they shot you out of deep strike, right? You know, like, and that's an all spec. We usually call it an all spec scan, right, of some sort, right,
Even
in
though every
quotations.
single one is called something different. Yeah.
It's we just call it all spec scan, right? That's
Yep.
doesn't matter what faction you are. You say, "Can you like all spec scan me?" You know, people know what you're talking about. But then you could say, okay, I that is something that caught me that game. So I need to ask opponents, can you do this before I do something? Or can you fall back and charge? Or can you advance and charge? Or can you fall back, shoot and charge? Or, you know, that sort of thing. There's like key questions you can ask that'll help you not get caught out in a bad situation. And as you get more experienced, you learn what questions to you don't have to worry about, but when to ask certain questions. Because sometimes you can do them all at the beginning and then you'll forget, right? You kind of have to ask them as you're doing things in the middle of the game. So you even like even myself, I don't know what all of the armies do. I just know what questions to ask at the right time to refresh my memory
And
on what my
those
opponent's
and
army
those
can do.
movement based ones are so
Yeah.
huge. You don't want to find out in the middle of the game that your opponent has a solar flare or a
Mhm.
veil, or
Mhm.
and all of a
Mhm.
sudden they
Can you
have,
redeploy?
yeah.
Can you? Yeah.
You don't want to find out mid game that 20 guys are in your backfield kind of thing. You're like, oh, I did not know this could happen. I
Do you
this
have
is
any fight loss mechanics? You know, like this is key things. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, there's a couple things though, and the thing is, and I think that with experience though, if you just, I'm telling you, write things down, bring cheat sheets. It's so helpful. I mean, I do it all the time. I literally do it on I have it on my phone all the time with everything I'm playing. I'm constantly looking up and going, boom, here's my plan. I'd make little outlines because I'm an old man. Anytime I talk, every time I have my old man
I
sheets of
love it.
paper, but it's just so helpful, and it just and the thing is you start learning to ask that. You also look for those things on the list. So you can start looking for specifics. Do you have this fight last? Do you have this weird overwatch? Can you do like salamanders can and born protectors and 2d6 heroic? Can you stooping dive me? You know what I mean? Like these are all
Yeah.
game changing things that can happen to you, but they also make the game feel bad if you don't know that they happen. You know what I mean? You can play
Hmm.
around things, but if you don't know something, it feels bad, and then you're you know losing a game is losing a game. That's what I mean. Whatever. Losing a
Yeah.
game when you felt that you got gotcha feels bad. You know what I mean? That's a feel bad.
Doesn't feel good at
Right.
all.
So
Yeah.
asking those things ahead of time is really the thing to do. And I think as the technology gets better, it'll be fantastic. Uh,
Well, you know what? 10 years from now, who knows? 10 years ago, a worldwide international tournament circuit was not exactly something on everyone's radar.
true,
You know what I mean?
true, true,
Now
true.
it's now it's like, why isn't there more?
Yeah, exactly.
Different.
And the thing is I really, really think that we're gonna catch up. I mean, look, we have literal fan sites like Waha and stuff like that,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
have all the things we're talking about, and we could just do them in app form. I mean, I do this like all the time. I just think
Hmm.
they're so helpful, and we just need to have them. I actually am surprised that GW hasn't just purchased these.
Hmm.
I never understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're not GW and we don't make their financial or tech decisions. You
I
know, I
am
feel that before they do anything, and this is me going on a mini rant, they have to hire a technical writer.
okay. We're not even going to get into that. Just hire one guy that went to law school.
Correct. Last new release was the Black Templars. They went out for pre-release this weekend.
Yep.
So Crusader Squads, Hellbricht, Grimaldus, the Emperor Champion, the Black Templar set, the Upgrade Sprue. Which, by the way, if you haven't tried Impulsors with multi-meltars, they're amazing. I love them so much. They're so cool.
But have you gotten your festive guide for 2021 gift guide? The Red Gobbo has returned, and he's got a friend.
I did not. I have not gotten a Red Gobbo yet. However, that is cool.
Indeed, it is. There's some good stuff, man. You know, I'm going to go, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, because I went to the store this morning before I went on the plane, and the AOS models are so good.
Oh my goodness. Oh, yes, they are. I want to play more AOS. But this is 40K today, buddy.
But you can use those AOS models legally in your 40K.
I wonder if dragons and stuff could be your flyers, you know, convert them into flyers and whatever. They'd look cool. The whole like converted counts as dragon army.
Oh, dude, yeah. I love a lot of those things. I mean, we talked about this before. We threw it up there and what people thought about counts as armies. I'm a huge fan of them. So, but I like conversions, and I also can't see colors very well. So I like conversions a lot more than I like good painting, because that's a lot of times lost on me. But I like it. I like where, I'm not gonna lie, I like where the game's going. I have hopes for the game also. I also have hopes for Warhammer Plus, and I know I'm constantly usually the guy that's trying to be yay. So, but I do think it's a thing. I think the game's turning around. You know what I mean? I think we went into a little dip. We had a bump in the road, and I think that we're correcting. I think that we're trying to correct. I think that there's going to be more corrections, but my biggest thing is that the 3-month thing, that the balance thing was fine, needed, good. For the future, them saying every 3 months, because we're talking about things like, are indirect hive guard too much? Or is this too much? You know what? And we're going to get a bunch of data, and then in 3 months we're going to make some changes, and we're going to hopefully going to make small changes, because I'd rather have small changes that aren't enough, and then 3 months later make more
than overextending the changes that then make something completely unplayable for a very extended period of time.
100%, my friend. Tell me how I need to live my life for this week.
You need to live your life on the edge and not be a filthy Grey Knight player. Come back to the dark side, my good friend.
I am playing some games with some chunky boys, and I actually really like it.
You know, I literally made a list. We made a list last night. It was 9 Talos, 9 Chronos, 45 racks, an Archon with a grenade, and like a Homunculus. It's like 2,000 points on the nose, and it's filthy. So good. For like team events, it's gonna be so good.
I love everything.
Anyway, yeah. Let's say I'm excited to play that.
Living on the edge, my friends. Everybody, as usual, thanks for hanging out. As always, put your comments in, put everything on Facebook, YouTube, Discord, anywhere that I know. I'll figure it out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hope to see you at a tournament. Have a drink with me. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.